Hey, I'd like to welcome you to People Think About It. Today's show, we have Dominique Hagler and Mckenzie Cameron.
Yes,
They're our special guests in here, and we're going to talk about relationships, and we're going to touch on some relationship things. We're going to touch on some issues that people wonder about in relationships to get a male and female perspective. So we want to welcome you to People Think About It, the key to an open mind. So our first guest is Dominique. So we'd like to bring Dominique in and she's going to tell us a little bit about herself. She's written a couple of books and things like that. So she's going to tell us a little bit about herself.
Well, thank you for having me today. So I just want to start off by saying my name is Dominique Hagler. Yes, I do currently have a book on Amazon. It is called Healing Her, and it's basically a journal to your to healing yourself. Right now, this current version is for women. However, I do have another edition coming out for men as well. So no worries, guys. I didn't forget about you. I also have a web series on YouTube called Dating Amari, and it goes over relationships and how to heal yourself after, and things that we don't look at. It is a comedy, but it does touch on real points within life, relationships, just dealing with your own self, dealing with your past traumas, whether that's your parents or, your past relationships or what have you. So, yeah, go check that out. Again, that is Dating Amari on YouTube.
Okay, Miss Dominique. And then we got Mckenzie Cameron. Would you tell us a little, introduce yourself a little so we know who you are?
All right, how you doing, everybody? This is Mckenzie Cameron. I'm a local Atlanta photographer, and I also do video as well, and glad to be here.
Okay, and then we have Miss Dorshell Clark, and as you know, I'm your host, Lamar Clark. And today we had a little subject we're going to talk about, now that Mother's Day is coming up, and you see on these social media sites, some women will get on there and say, Happy Father's Day to me, and just getting a different perspective how the women and the men feel about that, perspective about, as a mother or a single mother or a mother with a few children, not, or giving yourself the credit as being a father as well as a mother. So we're gonna start off, with Miss Dominique. So give us your little bit about your perspective about how do you feel about women getting on social media, talking about Happy Father's Day to me.
Okay, so, and this is just me being extremely transparent. I, at one time, was a single mother. So, I was always giving myself a pat on the back for not just being the nurturer, but also the provider as well. Ideally, that is what we claim the man role is, to be the provider. So, no, I was not getting on social media stating that I was the dad. However, I was the provider. I was taking care of that baby from day in and day out. Whether I was nurturing, whether I was providing clothes, food, shelter, it was all me.
Right.
And so I think that's where they go in the space of saying Happy Father's Day to me, because outside of the nurturing, you do have to provide. There is no other way around it.
Right, and we appreciate the mothers that are out there, that are single mothers that's out providing for their children, knowing that you have to sometimes be the chef, the nursery, whatever. You have to be the financial provider, because there's some fathers out there that's not stepping up to bat doing what they supposed to as well. But still, in the other hand, we don't see a lot of men get on social media and say Happy Mother's Day to me,
Mm-hmm.
And because we do have single fathers out there that's raising children, and I just feel like even though it can be a play on words or what have you, I feel like everybody needs to understand their place,
Mm-hmm.
whether you have a father that's providing and doing the right things, or whether you have a no good father or no good mother for that, for the benefit of it. But I think that like a father, all he can be is a father. I was a single father to the point where the mothers were there, but I helped raise my children, and I got two daughters and a son. I did hair. I changed diapers. I did whatever I had to do to provide for them. But I never always knew that one thing is I only could be a father. When it came time to when my daughters got older and started going through the female type things, I had to go to a female for the information, to provide to them. So that's why I think that everybody knowing their place, whether good, bad, or in between. So that's where I'm at with the subject. Anybody have a different outlook about that?
Go ahead, Mckenzie.
Well, I mean, I look at it like it's a pound and patting yourself on the back, and I really don't see anything wrong with it, especially with it being so many single mothers and they having to step up, and it's so much that goes into it. Me watching Dominique when I came into her life and everything that she went through, everything I know my mother went through with me when she was a single mother, and saying happy Father's Day to me, I mean, I get some people might feel a way about it, might take offense to it, but I mean, at the end of the day, with everything that they have to do, a simple pat on the back is saying, "Oh, happy Father's Day to me." I don't see anything wrong with it. They're not hurting nobody. I don't think they're not in a place or whatever. It's just literally just patting themselves on the back because there's nobody else there to say happy Father's Day to, as far as that child. So, just leave the recognition on the table, or you can take that credit. It's the same thing with Christmas, right? You don't want your child. Some people don't want their child to be like, "Oh, Santa Claus bought this for me." No, I worked hard for this,
Right.
So, it's the same thing as that, I'm Santa Claus,
Well, I think there's a different perspective on that, and I guess when you look at a father that is a provider, I think that it comes across to him as something projected as negativity, like you're trying to take a place where I should be.
If it's a father there,
yeah,
and he's doing something and he's contributing, then I can see it as being petty.
Yeah.
But if there's no father there, and it's truly you are the sole provider and the sole caretaker for that child, and you say happy Father's Day to me, I don't see nothing wrong with that.
Right. And people have their different values and their opinion about it.
Yeah.
However, that I just real strongly believe that, with all that goes on in the world and the concepts that go on in the world, that we live in what I call the whatever society. Is like whatever. Mm-hmm. If that's what you feel, is whatever. If that's what you want to be, whatever. And I think that just coming up in life and seeing life from several different perspectives, that I just think we lost our perspective and our bearings to where we should be really going in life. We worry about so much of these little petty things, and we lose the perspective because you look at a society now, look at the children that's in the world today, how they just run rapid. Mm-hmm. And I'd be the first to say I truly believe it, because I don't think they have that balance of that mother and father. Right. But I still truly believe that all you can ever be is what you are. You're the father or you're the mother. And there's nothing wrong with patting yourself on the back as a single mother. So that's not what I'm saying. I have no problem with you patting yourself on the back, because if you are the sole provider, you should be proud about that.
Right.
So
Dorshell, I want to ask you this. I want your take on this. So if you got on Facebook and you seen a man say Happy Mother's Day to me, and he's a single father, there's no mother in the room, there is no woman in his life that plays that role in any type of way, how would you feel about that?
Honestly, I would have a problem with that.
Okay.
Because I just feel like, again, there's got to be some type of balance, a mother and a father. I mean, the society has changed so much. We can go to a whole nother level on this subject. But for a mother and a father, I think there has to be some type of balance. So a masculine man saying, I am the mother, I've been the mother and the father, I would be like, he doesn't even know what mothers go through. It's just surface.
But why doesn't he, though?
Because how can he say that?
Well, no, he didn't actually give birth to that child. But if he has to now do the same thing as a single mother, where he not only has to be the provider, but he also has to be the nurturer, he has to be the nurse, he has to be whatever else, the teacher. Is that not the same thing?
Especially if he got a girl.
And that
Raising a girl.
No, I like I said, even with me, I had 2 daughters before I had a son. And like I said, for me, I learned how to braid hair. I could cornroll, I could braid hair. Sometimes I would do my daughter's hair, and really people were like, who did your hair? And I was always the type of father that I let my children speak for themselves. You know, I teach them that self-independent. And they were like, my daddy did it. And people would think that they were lying or I put them up to it. But the point of the fact of it, I had to be the nurturer, the provider, and all these things, change diapers and all that, but I still felt like I'm just a father, because when it came to the growing up as a young teenage girl or even getting to that woman stage of life, there were some things that I could not identify with. There were some things I wouldn't even believe I would start identifying with, you know, because honestly, in my vision, women do go through a lot more than men. You know what I mean? So that's why I give them their credit. When they do what they do, I give them their credit. But as a man, it's just, from my vision, there was so much that this young girl is going through, you know, because I know I was at a point that when people would tell me about PMS, I'd be like, man, that's a bunch of crap. You know what I mean? I didn't believe it because guess what? I never experienced it. So by me never experiencing, I couldn't relate to it, you know? And I just think that sometimes, you know, that when you as a female start saying that you're taking on fatherly positions, it's some things you don't understand. You possibly can't understand because you're not a male. I mean, it's just like Dorshell and I was talking. Like when you look at society now, they trying to take that masculinity part away from men. You know, like they make you feel like it's wrong to be because I think that a lot of people relate masculinity to a physical, but it's not physical. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I guess that's why I have my viewpoint about it.
Right.
With them saying that too could be the kick in the pants that other person needs to step up. If you don't like it, do something about it.
And I totally agree with you. I'm 100%.
You don't like her saying Happy Father's Day to me, step up and be a father.
And I totally agree with that 110%. That if you're not gonna be there and play the part, then you have no reason to say anything.
I mean,
you know?
This is just a result of single mothers. This is a result of it. It's not like they just woke up in the morning and said, I'm a bitch. And some might do that, but I don't think every woman wakes up and it's like, I'm going to say Happy Father's Day to me today. I think this is a byproduct of single mothers being normalized. You know, it's just like a normal thing in our society. So this right here is just a byproduct of that. It's a result, you know, and not looking at the whole picture and just focusing on what she said on social media and not looking at where it came from. I think that's a mistake.
Right, and I think that the defense mechanism is because you know that you're a father that's not doing. So that's where the defense mechanism, you know. But you know, when you look at the defense mechanism about you're not doing it, you know. But I realistically like kind of still understand that I think women would kind of get offended too if a guy got on it, you know, or repeatedly got on and say I'm the mother and the father. I just know. You know, I mean, because
maybe some. I think, and I'm speaking from my experience because I have a lot of guy friends that are actually single dads. Their child's mother has never been in the point. Oh, take the child and go with it. I don't want to deal with it. I've seen them, you know, and I give them their flowers because I know what it's like. You know, when you got to be there for that baby day in and day out, and you don't got nobody else. Yeah, okay, mama, do your thing. I don't feel away. I guess maybe I'm not that sensitive of a person when it comes to the roles, because a lot of women are out here being extra masculine because they have to. They're not standing there and walking in their femininity. They're not, because they can't. They have to go. They got to get up every morning. They got to go to work. They got to make sure the kids are good. They got to pick them up. They got to call out of work if the kid gets sick. They have to. So when I see these dads doing the same exact thing, and if you want to say, hey, Happy Mother's Day to me, Happy Father's Day to me, do your thing.
But you just said something. You just said something. Which I touched on earlier, is the masculinity part. And I think in today's society, women have taken on a lot of masculinity, even more than some of these dudes I see out here, you know what I mean? And I think that when you look at it, from a perspective that I truly do think that a lot more men need to step up to bat, because it's easy to shine and say, hey, I got this newborn baby. My girl just had a new little boy or little baby girl. It's easy to say that, but when it comes to the responsibility and the time to take care and, like you say, nurture, financially take care of this baby, and then as time go by, you start backing off of that situation. In my book, I call you a coward, because that child did not ask for that. And then what you and that parent go through, that's totally something different. But the child didn't ask for that. So I think that if you stepped up to bat, and no matter what the condition was between you and that mother, that you always be a father to that child, because that child did not ask to come in the world. I truly believe that.
Yeah. And you see that same post, you go through that single mother's thing and scroll back through her Instagram or whatever, all you see is pictures of her and the kids. So it ain't like she has indirectly put a track record on there of her whole every day, day in and day out. Kids, pictures with the kid. Where's the dad?
Well, I think, I just think that sometimes you really, like you were saying, Dominique, if you kind of know the situation, because with the social media, you can manipulate a lot of things, So, if the mother has the child, let's say 90% of the time, it's easy to manipulate that, just me and the child, and especially like if you don't know the father, and I know the mother, I don't know the father. Well, I've seen him once or twice, because maybe if I go on his social media page, maybe it's just him and the child.
Or no child.
Or no child, for that fact of the matter.
But that then goes back to when you make the decision to lay down and have a child, we're not thinking about the act. Because the act is great, but when the outcome comes, you gonna know you need to be prepared for that. And I think what happens is they can easily say, "Oh well, it's the mother's responsibility. It's her call whether to have that child or not." Well, a lot of people are not walking around saying, "Yeah, I'm gonna go get an abortion." Oh, nobody's saying that. Especially if y'all made a decision to have that child. It's one thing, it was a wild night. That's one thing. But y'all sat down and y'all said we gonna have this baby, then. People need to grow up. I think that's grow up. You have to grow up. You have to say, okay, well, it's not about us anymore. Let's focus. We're going to work together. And if it don't work, then okay, that's fine. But a lot of times that's not the case. Like you said, oh, look at my baby. Oh, she just had a baby. And then boom. The next thing you know, he going. Why you don't see him? Because he not there. She's going to have the child 95, 98% of the time. If not 100 for that matter.
So let me ask you this question, and I'm going to direct this to you, Dominique.
Okay.
So, because I just heard you say something, you get together even if it don't work, right? Do you see in today's climate that even if you get to the point it does not work, do you see a lot of people trying to co-parent, or do you see some fathers get hatred, some mothers get cold, like I'm not going to let you see this child. Some fathers get to the point, I'm not taking care of this child, I can't see my child, so I'm not giving you no money or anything like that.
Oh yeah.
How do you feel about that?
So, in my opinion, I feel like, again, it's childish, it's catty. This has nothing to do with that child. Y'all have to grow up.
Right.
You have to grow. When that baby come out, because it's one thing when it's cooking, but when that baby come out, y'all need to grow up. And that's just point blank period. But as far as how I feel on the whole, you have a lot of bitterness. Women too. I'm going to say it. Men, there's a lot of bitterness. We don't talk about the bitter baby daddies. We don't talk about that. Because once you have a child, your mind is completely different. It's like at the drop of a dime, everything has changed for you. You have to now understand yourself again, understand this baby, understand how life is going to work now for you, right? So I feel like every woman at any point, whether it works or not, or more so whether it doesn't work, I feel like they have the right to be somewhat bitter, especially when the father is not, especially when the father is he outside, he partying, he doing his own thing. Because so
let's do this. Let's reverse roles for a second here, because you said that the mother has a right to be better. Let's reverse roles and say you're a father that's doing the right thing, and that woman won't let you see that child. Do you have a right to be better? Don't look at it from a female standpoint. I want you to look at it from a male point of view.
If I was a guy and I'm doing what I need to do, I mean, no, I feel like I don't think if he's doing what he's supposed to do, he's not being bitter. He's doing what he's supposed to do.
Yeah, but the bitterness comes in from that
you
have custody.
Okay.
You have custody, and he's doing what he's supposed to do, whether it's financially, socially, whatever, economically, but she won't let him see that child. So
take it to court.
I mean, and I mean, we get into all that, and that's easy to say.
Well, no, but I'm saying
I just want to know. I just want to know. See, you're sitting here and giving me the typical answer.
No.
But I'm saying to you, think as a man. Think as a man, not as being a single mother right at this point in time.
Okay.
Think as a man that, hey, I'm doing all the things. I'm loving this child. I'm taking care of this child financially. I'm taking care of this child. But the only thing is that mother, and we could use your terminology, is bitter and won't let me see that child. Do I have a right to turn around and be bitter as well?
Yeah, you have all rights to feel a way about that, for sure. You do. I mean, because if you know that you're doing everything and she's being, because it's her being bitter. It's not it's not you being bitter. It's her being bitter. She's being bitter. That's why she's keeping the child away from you. Now, when I speak on the terms of the bitter baby daddies, is you don't want to do what you're supposed to do because you can't come over and knock it down for a minute, or I got a man, or I'm not trying to really deal with you, whether it's somebody in the picture. Now you're being bitter because you don't want to take care of your responsibilities because you can't have nothing with me. That's the bitterness that from is what I'm speaking on. For the mother, like I said, I do feel like women do, and men, everybody has a right to feel bitter, because you go into something and you have an idea of how this is supposed to go, especially if you've laid it out, right? We're gonna do this, right? And it all goes, and then that other person is not ready to do and put in all that you are willing to put in and do all that you're willing to do. That's where the bitterness comes in. And it would be the same way on the flip side. If you have a male and he's taking care of his child and the mother she out in Miami getting a BBL, he got a right to be mad too. Be mad.
And what you said, just sitting here listening to what you said, I kind of can understand the thing of being bitter and the thing of being angry. I think most men become angry more than bitter. They become angry and frustrated when they're doing the things that they supposed to be doing. So I kind of get what you're saying when you say being angry and being frustrated. It's two different things from a different climate. So how did you feel about that, Ms. Clark?
No, I want to hear Mckenzie, since you said most men feel anger. How would you feel?
I mean, in that scenario, it's real simple because I feel like we dancing around the obvious. If you doing what you're supposed to be doing as a father, and she's better, it's personal. It has nothing to do with the child. If you doing what you're supposed to be doing, and I think we talked about this, and I had this because I had to have her explain it to me. Because we was talking about it, and basically it was like, you're doing all this great stuff now, but why you didn't do it when we was together? Right. You see what I'm saying? Right. And as men, we don't get it because it's like, okay, I'm doing all this great stuff for the child. I'm in the child's life, this, and that, and it makes the woman angry because it's like, they're trying to figure out, and then you out here to say you dating somebody else, whatever, and you being this great person. It's some animosity there because we had a child together. We had a plan, right, at some point or whatever. Maybe you didn't have a plan, but I think as men we don't look at it. We can be like right over our head because from a woman's perspective, they're not looking at it as just you being a great father. There may be still harboring some feelings or whatever. And it comes out as bitter, but it's not actually bitter. It's I miss you, or I want to talk about it, but my pride, or whatever, And it's like as men, we don't even acknowledge it. We don't even know what's happening. We just think we're doing good for the child, but it's more to it. You laid down, you had a child with that woman, and you have to remember that when y'all did that. Before y'all had when the act of it, before that y'all was good, but then when the child come, it went to crap, and it was just like you left that woman is in a weird place, And as men, we just go on about our business. And I take care of the baby. And I'm just going on with my wife. And she's kind of left in this space. But she can't move. She can't do anything. She's bitter. She's angry when you come around. She just not give you the time. She just won't cooperate.
Mm-hmm.
And I really feel like it's personal, not to where she just want to ruin your life or just don't want you to see your child. But I mean, in some places you see the child being weaponized.
Oh yeah. You see that.
that.
You see that a lot. You see that a lot in today's world.
It's a conversation.
Yeah.
That's not happening because pride or whatever you want to call it, but it's just not happening.
Well, in the mix of things where we, as long as I've been on this earth, you always have this male-female perspective about certain issues and things, right? Because this is one thing I like about our show, because it's a no judgment zone, because you can set up and you can talk to the perspective from a female perspective, or you can talk to from a male's perspective, and like you say, you got some dads out there that's doing great things. You got some dads out there doing bad things. You got some women out there doing marvelous things. You got some women out there that's doing anything to do to take you down.
Right.
So that's one of the things about when you get into relationship type things, because that's the thing that makes this show great, because we talk about different perspectives and how females view things, or women view things, or how male view things. And I don't know in society if we have come to find a common ground.
Absolutely not yet. I mean, because now we are now to the new point of we are going to allow men to now be women and carry babies, and now we in a whole nother space now, right?
Or like when the kids I got two daddies or two mommies.
Listen, I have no judgment.
Right.
I'm going to say that I don't, okay? You got two mommies, great. You got two daddies, great. You got half of a mommy and half of a daddy, awesome.
Right.
Do you got somebody because at the end of the day, I feel like it's all about the love that you pour into the kid. It doesn't matter who is there, who is loving them, because that's what they're going to remember.
Right, and that's what we're lacking in the world,
right.
Love.
It's not enough love being poured. It's not yes, we know it's not enough daddies in the household. We know that, we got a lot of masculine women out there. We know these things. But when everybody can just really come together, and I feel like social media and the world is really trying to put a wall between us so we can continue to be at war with each other. Right. Enough of us are not sitting down and having conversations. We're not talking about nothing for real. We talking about going to get BBLs and waist trainers and hot boy summers and city boys and all. We're not that's right. Cute. But let's talk about the real stuff. Everybody's trying. I feel like everybody's trying to run away from the reality of everything. Right. So then they, it's this whole makeup of all this other crap. But yeah, and and now our kids are now the product of everything that's happening in the world.
Right. I truly believe that, because of the mere fact that you look at these. I mean, like I look at some of these young boys that walk around here. Their pants halfway down their thighs. They don't look like they took a bath in about a week or so, like that. And I just feel like because there was no proper male image in their life, because I think that an upstanding dude would never let my son walk around like that. Like, like I said, I've been in the barber business, and I've seen it where mothers have brought their sons to the barbershop and the pants sagging and everything. And I tell you, in all honesty, I make them go back out the door. I say, first of all, you never walk in front of your mother with your pants sagging. That's almost telling her to kiss your behind. You know what I mean? So what I want you to do is walk back out that door, pull your pants up, open that door for your mother, let her come in first, then you walk behind her. Mm-hmm. But that's all because of the way I was raised, the proper way to do things, And when you don't have a transcript or a duplicate of what you should be doing, you're gonna do some wild things. Right. You're gonna emulate what you see. You're gonna see everybody else doing. That's what you're gonna do. Right.
Yeah, but everybody has a choice.
Everybody do have a choice, but our choices are getting very limited. If you look at, of the way the world is becoming and how social media is taking over control. Right. I think that we're like they call it smartphones, but the smartphones, the computers are outsmarting us.
Right, it's dumbing us down. But again, you still have a choice, right? I'm gonna give you an example. So I always think this is a good story, but anyway, I'm gonna make it short. So my mother and my uncle, they grew up. My grandmother was a single mother after she got divorced, right? So she moved them to New Jersey, and my uncle always said, I want a pool. I want a pool. I'm never going to leave my kids, whatever the case may be. Here we are in 2023. He never left them kids. He is a great father. He is there in the home, and he said he would never be like that. That's a choice. Everybody has a choice. It doesn't matter what society is doing, because back then you had the dope boys. You had the ones that was being bad, being good. You still ultimately have a choice.
But back in those days, and speaking on that, even when you had the number runners, but they still know how to be men. They made you be a man. They made you accountable. They made you set up for responsibility. And that's what I'm saying we don't have in society today. We don't have enough men stepping up making these young boys be men. And that's why you have a lot of these single mothers, because when you look at it, the pool of women that's raising children and stuff is getting younger and younger, and they out here raising them by themselves, and then you got some dude that's running around here just doing whatever,
Right.
And just like you say, they all on social media. All they doing is trying to get the next one, because, we had, back in the days, we had accountability. Mm-hmm. We had if you was walking down the street and the dude was out there and you knew he was the number runner, but guess what? He was going to make you be a man. Mm-hmm. If he saw you disrespecting a woman, if he saw you with the woman walking on the curb and you on the inside, he'll check you. You're like, man, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. And I think we don't have enough of that today.
That's been taken completely out of our culture.
And then part of it is that we have allowed somewhat of the government and stuff to step in and take away some of that from us of raising your family. It's just like we were speaking earlier. It's just like, it got to a point in time when they said, hey, you know what, if you want some housing, we can give you Section 8 housing, but this man can't live in here. If you want to check, he can't live here, So sometimes we step in and let them create separation when, just like you say, hey, we was the first people that start families living together. We lived 2 and 3 families to a house. Now we don't have that.
But that's a choice, though. You don't have to be on Section 8. Yeah. That's a choice.
Yeah.
I feel like ultimately that's a choice.
We're not educated. Like, they're not educated like we were. We had it everywhere. Remember, we had TV. We had Sesame Street. We had the Cosby Show. We had everything in our face, constantly reminding you that you're black, you're amazing, you can do whatever you want to do. You had stay off the drugs. You had, what was that?
This is an
crime dog.
Yeah,
all of that stuff that you had that was geared towards giving you the best tool that they could give you. Everybody was doing. Now it's been taken completely out of it. So you have all these young guys out here. Yes, they got their pants. They can do whatever. They don't know anything.
So let's throw this on the table. We'll go around the table, and I guess we'll start with you, Ms. Clark. What do you think that some of the solutions would be of the conversation we just was having? What do you think that some of the solutions should be?
I mean, I think it depends a lot, because you get in these relationships and then you leave a relationship. I mean, there's so many dynamics to this conversation, because we started off talking about mothers, fathers. Now we dived into something totally different. But at the end of the day, it depends on the relationships. I mean, we need to be more selective on who we get with.
Okay.
First of all, and then maybe the second step would be to really know what you're getting into. Just because you prayed to be married, do you know how to be married? Do you know how to have a relationship? First, you got to find out about you. I mean, that'll be another good step. And thirdly, maybe finally, I would say, in this whole thing is let your kids also see your worth. Because if you're doing something that's repetitive throughout your cycle of life, if dad wasn't in the house and when I was there, then dad's not in the house when you get married, is dad not in the house and for future families. So know your worth.
Right.
Will be my final.
So let's go with you, Ms. Dominique.
So solution number one, no. I would definitely say for this, as far as the start of the conversation, I think we need to just tone down the sensitivity a little bit, right? Because we're in a different world. We can't speak about the 90s. We can't speak about the 80s and so on and so forth. We can't go back that far. And I feel like, we have to be present here so we can understand what's going on here. So honestly, I would say let's tone down the sensitivity. It's not that deep. We know we women. Men know they men. It is what it is. We know that. We're not trying to take nothing away from nobody, but we need to turn down the sensitivity. That's one. Two, I would say definitely to kind of piggyback off of what Dorshell said, knowing yourself, because when you know yourself, can't nobody tell you nothing, because you know who you are, and you do know your worth. When you know who you are,
right.
when you know those things. So when you do get into these relationships, Richard ain't gonna be for me because Richard don't do this. He's not the person for me. So let me not lay my life down and start create another one with Richard. And I know Richard ain't gonna do right now. Of course, you can't always say that you're gonna know because everything don't always work out. But always prepare yourself. Be prepared. Be prepared for the good. Be prepared for the bad. Always stay prepared. And those are my two solutions for the most part. And be accountable. I'll take that too. I'll put that in there.
Go ahead, Mr. Mckenzie.
For the first one, let's see. I think, you definitely need to be less sensitive, but I think you need to be more. I think you need to be more open minded and not just take offense to everything. Like, oh, why is she saying that? I think you need to look at it. I think you need to be more. What's the word I'm looking for? I can't slip in my mind. But you just need to, like, if you see a woman doing that, or you see, and you are a family member or you're a friend or something like that, there's more behind that than her just being funny or posting on social media saying that. There's a lot more behind it, and I feel like as a culture, as black people, we need to try to step towards putting down single mothers or what they have to say or whatever, or exclaiming something. If she's saying that, you need to cheer her on. Like, great, you doing okay, happy Father's Day, yeah, cool, and just say, pat her on the back with her. She's probably trying to boost herself up. You know what I'm saying? She probably felt like that's what I need to do today to make myself feel better. And I feel like we need to join in. Because it does take a village, and it looks like the village dynamic is changing as for what we remember as kids to what it is now. So now it's not, the village is not, may not be your family, may be your best friend, may be, people strangers that became your new family or whatever. That's helping you with that child, whatever. And, the dynamic has to change. And it can't be, you see something, get upset. It needs to be, oh, okay, she's doing that great. Let me help her. Let me see if she needed anything, whatever. Anything. Because we cannot stand back and watch and get offended. That whole if your first reaction is I'm offended, there's a problem. Right. The second part is what we was talking about. And these young men, and I'm always going to bang on the young men because I feel like as men, do we know as men, we out here, we know. I mean, I feel like for our generation, for us having these battle of the sexes conversations or whatever, first you need to start with honesty. Everybody, it's easy to stand on your side and they stand on their side and throw rocks, right? But nobody's being honest on either side, being honest. If it's a conversation that you're trying to have with somebody, a debate, whatever, and you're trying to make yourself look good, you're worried about your image, and you're not just being completely transparent, you're not being honest. And you're not going to ever come to a resolution. It needs to be honest conversations.
Right.
And as far as with the youth, whatever, you have to remember too, they watching us. They watching us. We are the example. And what do they have to go by?
Right.
Like we were just talking earlier. You know, it was like when I was a kid, you had the dope boy. You had all. You said you had people you can name. I guarantee you grab one of these young boys off the street and you ask them, they don't have nobody. They're going to say
got
Future
people.
or somebody.
They have people. You just said it. They got us. They
got
people.
us, but what I'm saying is you had it to where, like, we was outside. We was outside. We wasn't on a phone. You see what I'm saying? Them people they name probably on their phone.
Let me say this here. First of all, I would say that, you know, everybody, you know, had a great insight of some of the things that we could probably do in changing some of the dynamics that was going on. I mean, you know, one of my biggest things that I hold people to is accountability. I think that we all have to have accountability, which a lot of people don't have in today's world anymore. You know, it's like I said, it's the whatever society. I think that I agree with you 100% that we have to start uplifting one another, whether it's male or female. We got to encourage one another to the point that, you know, we become the elders of what the younger people can see, and so they can start following track. Because, I mean, you know, it's really, I guess we kind of lost guidance. And we allow electronics to guide us now. We allow social media to guide us, and I think that sometimes we need to just sit down like we're doing today and have a great ear, have conversation. What you said, Dominique. I mean, you know, because dialogue creates knowledge, and knowledge creates wisdom. You know, so if you have that dialogue and you're talking, you're getting different viewpoints. I think that's the best thing that we can do is continuously to have dialogue on the things that we see that need change.
Yeah, but the most important thing she said was don't be so sensitive because everybody has a label. Everybody has a label. Everybody want to judge you some kind of way, but just don't be sensitive when it does come out. That was a great point, Dominique.
So we want to say that we're going to journey on with some conversation. We're going to have different conversations, and if our listeners are listening in and want us to bring up a conversation that you have in mind, you can go to peoplethinkaboutit.com to our pod page and register, and we can talk. We can even have you on as a guest. We have people think about it at gmail.com. You can reach us at Instagram, Facebook. You can reach Dominique. Give us again where you can reach you at, Dominique.
Yes, so you can find me on Instagram. However, if you are looking for any type of healing tips or anything like that, or you just want to do some networking, you can email me at heydolly. That's HEYDOLLY at Dolly. That's DOLLYVE.com, and that's V as in Victor, E as in elephant.com.
Okay, and Mr. Mckenzie, if they want to do photography or anything, what can they reach you out at again?
Yeah, put me to work. A local Atlanta photographer. I shoot anywhere inside 285 and a little bit outside of it. You can reach me at Arte Volaire. That is ARTE, V as in Victor, OLARE.com. Same thing for the Instagram, same thing for the Twitter, same thing for the Facebook.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I think that we've had great conversation here today at People Think About It. We're going to let you know that Miss Dominique, when we talk about these relationship things, is going to become our co-host. And we're going to have different subjects to talk about. And like I said, if you guys out there that listen to People Think About It, has any subjects you want to touch on or anything that you want to, talk about what we've talked about, just reach out to us. Like I said, you can reach out to us on our pod page at peoplethinkaboutit.com.
Our email address
is peoplethinkaboutit at gmail.com. We're gonna have our shows about relationship. You can listen to every Thursday, and like I said, it'll be I'll be the host, and we'll have Miss Dominique as the co-host on the relationships. And we'll see you later, and we appreciate you. Listen to People Think About It. So come and join us again.